a public hearing to order. It's a public hearing for the submission of the CDBG application under the CDBG CV CARES Act. I'm going to ask Kelly to call the roll.
Basson,
Here.
Weigelt,
Here.
Leader,
Here.
Benvenuto,
Here.
Stats,
Here.
Adams, I see her. I see you, Brenda.
Here.
Thank you. Netler,
Here.
Collins,
Here.
Riley, Eldridge,
Here.
Fury,
Here.
Kirsten. Kirsten? I see him. Okay. Lagonia,
Here.
Sterling,
Here.
Mia,
Here.
Chemidas,
Here.
Mussman,
Here.
Scalera,
Here.
Duzzy,
Here.
Hoatling,
Here.
Morel,
Here.
Knott,
Here.
Skoda. $34.60 present, 75 absent. We have a quorum.
Thank you. I'm now going to ask the clerk to read the notice.
Legal notice, notice of public hearing, Columbia County, New York. The Columbia County Board of Supervisors will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, September 8th at 7:30 p.m. Originally at 401 State Street, now virtually, for the purpose of hearing public comments on the Columbia County Community Development needs and to discuss the submission of the Community Development Block Grant application under the CDBG CV CARES Act program for the 2021 program year. This particular funding round is restricted to projects that directly respond to COVID-19. The CDBG program is administered by the New York State Office of Community Renewal and will make available to eligible local governments approximately $60 million for housing, economic development, public facilities, public infrastructure, and planning activities with the principal purpose of benefiting low/moderate income persons. The hearing will provide further information about the CDBG program and will allow for citizen participation in the development of any proposed grant applications and/or to provide technical assistance to develop alternate proposals. Comments on the CDBG program or proposed projects will be received at this time. The hearing is being conducted pursuant to Section 570.486, Subpart 1 of the CFR and in compliance with the requirements of the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974 as amended. If special accommodations are needed for persons with disabilities, those with hearing impairments, or those in need of translation from English, those individuals should contact Kevin McDonald at Columbia County Office for the Aging at area code 518-828-4258 to follow the necessary arrangements. Written comments may be submitted to Kevin McDonald at the Office for the Aging at 325 State Street, Suite 231, Hudson, New York, or at kevin.mcdonald@columbiacountiny.com until September 15th, 2021.
Okay, thank you. Before we solicit comments, I was going to ask Bill Rohr and Duke Duchessis to give us an overview of the project.
Yes. Mr. Chairman, what I have to do here, I'm required to read a brief introduction. This has to be in the meeting, and then I'm going to go through the project in some detail. Again, as was mentioned, there is $60 million available for this program. $30 million is allocated to non-entitlement communities, of which the Columbia County is one. The limit for the Columbia County grant is $1 million. General rules for this particular program, because this is different, is for COVID compliant with HUD's national objectives, low and moderate income, and to explicitly prevent, prepare, respond to the coronavirus. The last required item that I should review, and we're required to read this, is that the community development program can be used for a number of activities: supporting small businesses, improving air quality in public facilities, environmental improvements in housing for safe shelter, conversion of underutilized buildings for affordable housing, special services, public services, and special projects. We have qualified under special projects. Administrator McDonald, myself, and there was probably 4 or 5 people from HCR discussed the project, and it clearly met the parameters of both the CDBG program, and it had a very strong COVID response nexus. So that meeting was very encouraging. I think that they liked the project. So in terms of the project here, what we are looking to do is to partially underwrite the costs of the development of a kitchen, a new kitchen for the office for the aging. During the pandemic, it became clear that there was insufficient capacity. Just to give you an idea of the home delivered meals and the way that has increased, 2008, it was 35,000. 2020 was already up to 66,000. And if I project this year throughout, we're going to come up with about 64,000 home delivered meals. So that's over 80%. In terms of the specific needs for the kitchen facility, increased kitchen space, additional kitchen equipment, an expanded stockroom, relocation of the walk-in freezers. This is going to serve what is preponderantly a low mod population. We have no trouble meeting that criterion. Project is to be located in the Simons Industrial Park. The kitchen, as it now stands, will be attached to a relocated OFA office complex, but the funding request to Housing Community Renewal is separate and distinct from the rest of the project and is limited strictly to the construction of the kitchen facility and the equipment. What we are looking at now in terms of costs, and these are subject to considerable refinement, and by the time we submit this at the end of the month, the costs will be much tighter, okay? We are looking at a kitchen facility that would run construction alone $1.5 to $2 million. We'll see what we can do after we go through some value engineering there. The cost for the equipment would be, and I spoke with Amy, who runs the kitchen, $400,000 to $500,000. Additional funding. Funding will be sought from the USDA Rural Utility Services. We have the contact there. They often participate in CDBG funded projects, and funding is also being sought from some foundations. Let's see. As I indicated, we met the test of the rational nexus to CDBG and so forth, allows people to remain sheltered in their homes instead of traveling for meals or out to supermarkets and so forth. I think we can expect that, there'll be additional surges of this, and COVID will be around for a while. So this is going to serve an extremely important purpose. So that is the project.
Okay, thank you. Ron Caponera, are you on?
He's in the middle of the storm right now. He just texted me.
Okay,
So I asked him to dial in, but he hasn't dialed in yet. So
Okay. Ron, are you on?
Yeah,
All right, do you have anything to add?
no, I think Bill had said it all. By the way, we should introduce who they are, Bill Rohr and Duke Duchessis. They're our grant writers. They are the grant writers. That's the name of the
Yep.
company. And they've been working with us for over a year now, going in 2 years. So they're very helpful. They've been on this project. Also working on the CARES Act, which was the FEMA reimbursement.
Ron, we're having a hard time hearing you.
I'm sorry, Matt. It's the storm. Internet's backing out.
Okay. All right, so we'll open it up for comment by the supervisors. Are there any comments?
I had a few questions. Could I ask questions?
Sure.
Absolutely.
So,
Questions, comments, whatever.
and I apologize for my lack of understanding on the locations, but the letter that Bill just talked about looks like we are moving to a new location that has an existing building, and we're going to be making an addition onto that existing building that will be the new kitchen, and then the other part of the existing building will become OFA offices, and the current OFA offices and kitchen will then be vacated for other county departments. Is that accurate?
There is no existing building. It would have to be built.
So it's a raw vacant piece of land that we have.
Correct.
Okay. And I imagine it's adequate for the parking and the building and everything that we will need.
Ron Knott, can you address that?
Yeah, so what we've been talking about for a number of months now is the county owns 10 acres of land where we have the fire training center building at Commerce Park. And it's my hope that there's enough room left in that 10 acres beyond what the fire training people are using that we could construct a new building that would house both the OFA kitchen as well as potentially office space from the people that are in 325 Columbia Street now. And that's why we've brought on a consultant. As you know, we approved an RFP or a contract here a while back. We brought on CPL engineering firm, and they are currently looking at all of that. They've met with Kevin's staff. They've brought on somebody from Food Service Design Studios that specializes in kitchen design work. And those people have met with Kevin's staff, and they're currently developing some plans, and we should have those within the next month, I would think.
Awesome. Thanks, Ron. I just had one other question. The proposal talks about the kitchen itself costing between 1.5 and 2 million, and then equipment for the kitchen between 400,000, 500,000. I realize this grant is solely for the kitchen. Do we have a ballpark idea of how much more the offices will cost? Is it dependent on how many offices we're able to move over there? Do we have a rough estimate of the additional cost for the non-kitchen part?
Yeah, I'm going to just spit out some really rough numbers because that's why we've hired a consultant. But just using some common sense, the kitchen currently occupies about 6,000 square feet. The OFA offices in 325 utilize about 5,000 or 6,000 square feet. If we looked at one new facility, and so that would be a total of 12,000 square feet, I'm upping it to say 14,000 square feet. 14,000 square foot new building at $350 a square foot is $5 million. So yeah, I don't want you to take those numbers to the bank. That's why we've hired a consultant. But just in common sense, this is not going to be a cheap project, but it's a very valuable project to the county, I think.
Thank you, Ron.
Ron, is that $5 million in addition to the $1.5 million to $2 million for the kitchen, or is that including the kitchen?
No, that's including everything.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we had Brenda Adams was next. She had her hand up.
So would the plan be to build this in 2 phases, to build the kitchen in 1 phase and then build the office buildings in a 2nd phase?
No, not in my mind. We're looking at trying to do this all at once. I mean, if it gets too expensive, it may get phased. But I would like to propose one building that would house both. I think what Bill is trying to do, and correct me if I'm wrong, Bill, in your grant application, you're just separating out the cost for the kitchen from the cost of construction for offices.
That is correct, Supervisor Knott. And I guess the discussions in which I have participated have suggested that this would be not a phased project, but a project that would be done together. Under the CDBG rules, we have to be very careful to break out the kitchen and its functions from the general operational functions of the county that the office people and OFA would carry out. And I think we've been able to do that. Those would not be eligible for CDBG funds. But the kitchen, because of its specific clientele and its acute need, is quite eligible.
So I have a second question, which is the contract for this. I understand that you're looking for an approval just to apply for the CDBG funding. If that funding were awarded, when would the contract be signed and when would the project construction have to be completed?
Okay, this is a little bit of speculation on my part. I think you would see approval after the first of the year or around the end of the year, with the state assistance contract being delivered maybe in February or March. It's going to become very important to accomplish this in this building season. So that is a rough time frame based upon previous experience with HCR. What I do want to emphasize is at this point, we're simply, county is making a decision merely to go forward with this. You have not legally bound yourself to any action until you sign the state assistance contract.
This process just opens the door for us to follow through on the process if the money were to become available.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
So it's not committing us to anything.
That's correct.
Okay, thanks. Sarah Sterling?
Yes, I just want to express my support for the project. I've been involved on the advisory board of the Office of the Aging and the Health and Human Services Committee for many years. I've seen the state of the current kitchen is aging and really in desperate need of a better kitchen. And I also like this location because it's central to the county. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Riley?
First, do support the idea our county is aging. We will need this function in the future, even greater than we need it now. Question for Bill. Does the grant and or the program require the purchase of new kitchen equipment? It's a large budget. I know that probably Supervisor Lagone can agree with me. There's a glut of nearly new restaurants and kitchen equipment on the market right now.
Yes, Supervisor Riley, let me answer that question. It does require the purchase of new equipment just to increase capacity. However, and I am actually familiar with purchasing used, large-scale restaurant equipment that can be purchased used, and that is often, as you know, available for a fraction of the new cost.
Yep. So I'd be supportive if we go down that road and at least explore that option.
Absolutely.
Okay, Supervisor Scalera?
You're muted.
You're muted.
I said, let me start off by saying hi to both Bill and Duke. It's been a long time. I hope you guys are well. Quick question on the CBDG grant. Is the approval contingent on other funding in place in order to complete the entire project?
Yes, what we would need, Supervisor Scalera, is at this point, we ought to have a letter from the chairman indicating that the county intends to, provide the remainder of the money. They do want that in place. We don't necessarily have to go through a resolution to make that money available. It's a little bit indeterminate at this point, and so we would provide something like that. That was an outcome of the discussion that we had with HCR. They just want to make sure that the rest of the money is there, so they're not putting their money in and then waiting for the rest of it to come in.
Thank you. That answered that.
Supervisor Lagonia.
No, I'm all set, Matt. Thank you.
Okay. I will say that the stimulus or the ARPA group that's been meeting on a regular basis, one of the things that we have tentatively done is put $1 million towards the OFA kitchen with ARPA funds as well. So,
Okay.
there is other funding streams that will be going into this. As Mr. Rohr had said, we also have had discussions with some private foundations who have an interest. So I think, raising the money won't be as hard as people have anticipated.
Great.
Are there any other questions or comments? Supervisor Mussman?
So, Chairman, can you tell me the number the county has to make to commit to this project? I'm a little confused. So what do you think that'll be?
Bill?
Yeah, that is, and I'm just going to be honest here, that's a bit of a fluid target. I'm going to tell you why, and then I'm going to come up with at least a reasonable estimate here. It's a fluid target because we don't know exactly what we're going to get in other funding sources, either a local foundation and or USDA funding. The other thing that we need to do, Supervisor Mussman, is put on the green eye shades, knock down the cost of the equipment that we can buy on the used market, and also work in conjunction with the consultant, the engineering consultant, in terms of value engineering this space. None of those numbers are tight yet. That said, I would suspect that the county contribution comes in at $1 to $1.5 million. And that's a rough bracket and something I cannot necessarily fully support at this time, but it gives you a sense. And we will be at a point over the next week or two where we're going to have that number much tighter.
Again, let me remind everyone, the purpose of this public hearing is to sort of keep the door open for us to apply down the road. So, I mean, we're not committed to doing anything other than giving us the ability to continue to pursue this. Supervisor Lagonia.
Firstly, Bill, I want to thank you for putting this together. I fully support the project. Are our hands tied in reference to who we have to purchase equipment from? Or is that something we can put a bid out and we can work on the equipment? And the second question is the number you came up with, that just includes the kitchen, like equipment, or does that including construction for the kitchen?
Okay. Supervisor Lagonia, in answer to your first question, we can purchase the equipment from whomever we wish to. And that includes the ability to go out on the used equipment market, which saves enormous amounts of money. The figure that I gave you, and like I said, it's a little speculative right now, did include the equipment and the construction, and that would be the county's share. However, the budget needs to be tightened up, and we need a sense of the other funding.
Thank you.
Supervisor Collins. You're on mute, Donald. There
Just
you go.
expressing my support for the expansion of the kitchen. I think we listened to a report from the facilities director where there are multiple problems at the existing facility. It'd be nice to pursue something. And thank you, Caponera. Thank you, Bill, and everyone else involved in pursuit of this grant. I think it'll be a great service to the community.
Thank you. Supervisor Adams.
Thank you. So I just want to clarify something. You think the county share for the kitchen is between 1 and 1.5 million, but we still would also need to come up with the 3 million for the building because it's not phased construction, correct?
Right, there would be an additional cost for the parts of the building that are not related to the kitchen.
Which at this moment is estimated is 3 million, based on Ron Knott's numbers.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure about that. I don't want to venture an estimate there.
I'm going to say something here that I don't think that you're going to find that this kitchen isn't the cheapest thing to build. When I say kitchen, the facility, okay? That's going to be the kitchen and the building and the offices. But in the long run, it's going to save us a tremendous amount of money. And it's going to be able to help the kitchen operate a lot more efficiently and not losing food the way we have been with some of our coolers without backup and stuff. So the numbers are not real clear because we put this RFP out, as everyone knows. We all voted on it here a couple of months ago, and that was for this facility to get some numbers on it. We're not clear on those numbers. It's not going to be a super cheap project, but in the long run, it'll be a great project for the seniors, for the community, everyone. So I think we need to. I support this totally. I'm not much on spending, big money, but I think in this particular case, it's going to work well for us. So we have the building that has to be done, and then the kitchen will be installed in the building, after that's done.
Thank you. Supervisor Hoatling.
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone for their hard work on this. I want to say that this is something that is needed. And if what we're talking about tonight is potentially getting $1 million of it paid for, whether the total cost is 2 million or 5 million or 7 million, I think we all fully support getting $1 million of that covered through this grant money. So thanks to everyone's hard work. And I look forward to seeing, what those numbers look like, because Bill, not questioning what you are saying, but I think it might even be a bit less because we're looking at 1.5 to 2 million for the kitchen, 400 to 500 for equipment. And if the grant covers $1 million of that, 1 to 1.5 million would be with no outside funding, all new equipment. So, we'll see when the numbers come in, but I think it could be even better than that. And I'm sure you were going on the high side because you don't want to say it's going to be 5 and then it's 20. You'd rather say it's 20 and then it's 5 because then we're excited. But I want to say that, the grant for an extra $1 million for something that we desperately need, and the ability to potentially I would love to see, I talked to the chairman about this today, and I know you're all working hard on this on the utilization subcommittee, as many offices as can be located there that don't have to be in Hudson that makes sense. We just had a proposal for, I think it was $8 million for some renovations on one of our county buildings. So I think it's a move in the right direction when we can start fresh, build it to the ADA compliance, and put everything in place that we need. So thank you all for your hard work.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Chimides?
Yeah, I just wanted to lift up that, this is, I think as many people said, the importance for providing this service to our seniors and providing better facilities is really important. But also I did want to lift up Supervisor Adams' questions, is that I think as much as we agree with the values, we also, the supervisors and the public do need to understand what the costs are and what the potential phasing is. And we need to understand what we know now and what we hope to know later. So I think it's helpful to do both at the same time. Is what are our goals? What are we trying to achieve? But also we need to be able to understand the project so we can really make a full fiscal analysis. And so I appreciate Supervisor Adams sort of asking some of those questions, because I'm certainly learning a lot from those questions and from the answers.
Yep. I think in a very short period of time, we'll have those answers. Again, this process is to open the door for us, to be able to obtain those answers and to apply. Supervisor Knott.
Yeah, I think you kind of answered it, but both to Brenda and to Michael, I wanted to say that is why we hired a consulting firm, so that we could come back with some more significant numbers. And so, yeah, we should hopefully have something soon, and we'll have those numbers for everybody, and we will be sharing them.
Mm-hmm. The issue and the reason for this public hearing at this point in time is the fact that it's time, we have a deadline. We have to get this process moving prior, I believe, by the end of this month, Bill. So, we need to get this in, we at least need to do the public hearing to get this process moving forward. And nobody's going to do anything unless this board approves it. So.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we would like to put this in by the end of the month. That means that it gets considered in October. It's possible the money will remain there through October, but that's no guarantee. So our idea was to put this in by the end of the month. Again, I want to state two things. This is not committing the county to anything. It's a state assistance contract itself. Upon the award, that is the full commitment.
Okay. All right, are there any other comments?
Mr. Chairman?
Kevin.
Kevin, Mr. McDonald?
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank the board for their support in this project. It's been a pleasure working with Bill as far as steering us right down, down the right road. Just a couple of things as far as the equipment goes. We're hopeful that a lot of the equipment that we do have will be able to be moved. Again, we don't know with the age of some of the equipment if it would survive a move, but we're certainly open to purchasing good used equipment, okay, to keep the cost minimal. And just one last thing, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Chairman, we own that building that we're in right now out in Philmont, and I would assume that could be sold, and the proceeds be put towards this project also.
Correct. It could either be sold or it could be repurposed. So one of two options. All right. Any other supervisors have any comments? Any other
Everybody, that building is an old IGA grocery store that has been converted over years to a kitchen. So we can certainly do better starting from scratch.
Okay, thanks, Ron. All right, are there any public comments? I don't know if we have any public on here other than our reporter. Any public comments? Okay, with that, I'm going to close the public hearing. Thank you all. Thanks. Remember, everybody, Kelly, we have to sign out and sign back
Yeah,
in.
everyone needs to sign out and sign under the new link.
Thank you. Bill Rohr,
we'll
thank
wait.
you.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you, Duke.
We'll sign back in.
Everyone rise for a moment of silent prayer, followed by the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm going to request the clerk call the roll.
Basson,
Here.
Weigelt,
Here.
Leader,
Here.
Benvenuto,
Here.
Stats,
Here.
Adams,
Here,
Mettler,
Here.
Collins,
Here.
Riley,
Here in Storm-Free Gallatin.
Eldridge,
Here.
Fury,
Here.
Kirsten,
Here.
Ligonia,
Here.
Sterling,
Here.
Mia,
Yep.
Chamidas,
Here.
Mussman,
She's here. I can see her.
I can see her too.
Here, here.
There we go. Thank you. Scalera,
Here.
Bezzy,
Here.
Oatling,
Here.
Morel,
Here.
Not,
Here.
Skoda. Okay, 3460 present, 75 absent. We have a quorum.
Thank you. I need a motion to pay the bills, accept the treasurer's report, and file the minutes within the clerk's office.
So moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, we have a couple of proclamations we need to read. One is the 911 memorial, and I'm going to ask Supervisor Benvenuto to read that.
Okay, thank you, sir. Chairman's proclamation recognizing the 20th anniversary of the September 11th terrorist attack on American soil. Whereas on September 11, 2001, the United States of America experienced terrorist attacks on targets that resulted in the deaths of American civilians, first responders, and military personnel. And whereas many more individuals would have lost their lives without the heroic and selfless acts of those who made the ultimate sacrifice. And whereas the date of September 11th will always be remembered in American history as a day where our nation was unjustly attacked, but we came together stronger and more united as a continuous beacon of hope and leadership throughout the world. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that Columbia County Board of Supervisors recognizes September 11th, 2021 as the 20th anniversary of the terrorist attacks on American soil, which caused the tragic deaths of 2,977 individuals, including civilians, first responders, and military personnel. And be it further proclaimed that the memory and sacrifice of the first responders and military personnel who lost their lives trying to save countless individuals during these terrorist attacks serves as a continuing example of the American spirit. And be it proclaimed that contrary to the desire of the perpetrators of these terrible attacks, the American people have grown stronger as a consequence of this fateful event and will never forget what was tragically and brutally perpetrated on the United States of America, but which resulted in a groundswell of patriotism and unified support for American first responders and military personnel. Given under my hand in the Privy Seal of the County of Columbia at the Supervisors Chambers in Hudson, New York, this 8th day, September, in the year of our Lord, 2021, Matt B. Morrell, Chairman, Columbia County Board of Supervisors.
Thank you, Supervisor Benvenuto. Next, I'm going to ask Rick Scalera to read a proclamation for National Hispanic Heritage Month.
County of Columbia Chairman's Proclamation, recognizing National Hispanic Heritage Month. Whereas each year Americans observe National Hispanic Month from September 15th to October 15th by celebrating the history, cultures, and contributions of both Hispanic and Latino Americans whose families' heritage are rooted in all Latin American countries. And whereas this observance has been in existence since 1968 and recognizes the importance of independence of the nations of Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Mexico, and Chile. And whereas the Hispanic and Latino population of America has contributed much to the vibrancy and development of this nation, their heritage, culture, and contributions are significant and noteworthy. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed, it is with deep appreciation and acknowledgement that the Columbia County Board of Supervisors recognizes National Hispanic Month from September 15th through October 15th and encourages all to celebrate the many contributions of our Hispanic and Latino residents of Columbia County, and be it further given under the hand and privy seal of the County of Columbia at the Supervisors Chambers in Hudson, New York. Signed, Matthew B. Morrell, Chairman, Columbia County Board of Supervisors.
Thank you, Supervisor Scalera. Next, I'd like to have the clerk read the resolutions.
Okay, resolution 299 of 2021 to 313 of 2021 by Supervisor Ligonia.
Mr. Chairman, I offer these resolutions for adoption.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 314 of 2021 to 319 of 2021 by Supervisor Benvenuto.
Mr. Chairman, I offer these resolutions for adoption.
And I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 320 of 2021 to 321 of 2021 by Supervisor Weigelt.
Mr. Chairman, I offer these resolutions for adoption.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 322 of 2021 through 328 of 2021 by Supervisor Knott.
Mr. Chairman, I offer these resolutions for adoption.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 329 of 2021, with the exception of 332, which was pulled, to 333 of 2021 by Supervisor Guzzi.
Mr. Chairman, I offer these resolutions for adoption.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And that's it, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Do any supervisors have any business to bring to the board?
Mr. Chairman, if I could, I'd like to address the full board.
Sure.
Thanks. So I'd like to address the board as the minority leader. I am speaking on behalf of the entire Democratic caucus, of which I had unanimous support for this statement. Due to extenuating circumstances, we as a county are in a position this year to provide excellent services and support to our residents while implementing a zero tax increase. Right now, our community members are struggling financially due to COVID, and we as the minority caucus are urging the entire Board of Supervisors to join us in the commitment to have a zero tax increase in the 2022 budget. And I hope that throughout the budget process, we can all work together to reach that goal. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Supervisor. Do any other supervisors have any? Okay, no other comments? With that, before we make a motion to adjourn, I'd like to have everyone take a moment of silence for William Anglin, who was the supervisor from the town of Hillsdale and served many years on the board, who recently passed away. Okay, thank you. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
I'll second it.
Motion, Mike Benvenuto, second, Kathy Eldridge, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you all.
Good
Good
night,
night.
everybody.
Thanks,
Good night,
everyone.
everybody.
Thank you all.
Get home safe.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.